Oh, hi there. Hello. How are you today? There
Good to
is
see
no
you on
lake in
good.
Bossing Say. Just kidding. My name is Lyndon Bradshaw. I am a member of Team Stream Queens here on Twitch. I also am a team leader, owner of Team Technicolor. I'm also a partner here, as well as a busy person. And today we're going to talk about mental health, um, which means that these panelists are willing to open up and potentially be vulnerable about how they go about their everyday life involving mental health. We're going to go around the panelists and get to know who they are before we get into the nitty gritty, as Camille calls it. But first, I just want to list out that mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It affects how we think, how we feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress and relate to others and make choices. Excuse me, my cat. Sorry, Oreo. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood to adolescence through adulthood. So that is what we're here to talk about today. I want everybody to understand that this is a sensitive subject. Again, these panelists have so right to choose not to answer any questions that were given to them today, as well as any questions in the chat. But for now, let's meet our panelists. Next to me, we have Sharon Osborne. I mean, Lady Lay.
Please.
Hello, I'm Lady Lay. I'm a drag queen from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I love all things horror. It's Lady Lay's my socials.
On the tele, right?
Yeah, Lady Lay, my tele.
And next to Lady Lay is Hebe Buffet.
Hi, everybody. Long time no see.
Yeah, thanks for the quick turnaround.
You got me twice in a row. I'm Hebe Buffet. I'm a variety streamer that specializes in horror games and JRPGs. And you can find me across all social media under Hebe Buffet. I managed to lock the name down everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. So excited to work with you. Big fan. Next up, we have the legend, the icon, the many faces of GTA roleplay and Insidious RP. It's my bestie, Sapphire E Glamour.
Hi, I'm Sapphire E Glamour. I am a plus-size Polynesian drag queen. Yeah, I'm also a theater artist. Specifically, yeah, Samoan. I don't know what I play GTA. That's all.
And we're like, I just want everybody to know when Sapphire plays GTA the house down boots with like
Sapphire
9
has
different.
their own universe.
Yeah, it's called the Sapphire
is-
Cinematic Universe.
Get into it. Get into it.
So
She
good.
literally has turned
Oh.
in a ticket just so she could have extra character slots. And what did we give her? Extra character slots.
And then took them away
yeah.
immediately.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
She
Also,
said, anyway.
also next to Sapphire is one of my good Judies. Someone actually keeps my mental health afloat. To be honest with you, Aphasia Speaks. Hello, my dear. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Aphasia Speaks. Black gender queer drag artist here on twitch.tv. I've had the speakeasy here, and I'm not in drag today because I woke up with my eye incredibly irritated because I slept weird and my eye was open all night. So that's why I'm here. I put a little bit of gloss on for you guys. So
How'd you do that?
Do what? I don't know. I sleep like a wild
You were like-
beast.
Yeah.
I sleep wild.
Keeping an eye out for
so-
Selena.
I mean,
Please
keep an eye for the
Oh my
serotonin
God.
girl, but I didn't find her.
Not
So that's why we're here today.
Aphasia's doing the Lennon Bradshaw email.
Oh my God, please.
All right, y'all. Let's get down to it. So again, we're here to talk about mental health. A lot of you in this panel have helped personally my mental health. In any form of way, you may not know that. Lady Lay and I have watched movies literally every day last year in December, whether they were good or bad. And that saved me in some form. Aphasia and Sapphire talk every day. And Hebe, sorry. I'm so sorry. Hebe, I literally every dollar. I'm here. Where's my money?
Yeah, you better.
You better.
Every
Into the
time
pot.
London says Phoebe, you Venmo her $1.
Yeah. Send me a Venmo right now in this Google chat.
Please.
But we just want to have a good time. But I want to know, like, what does mental health mean to you? We can start anywhere. I feel like we're not the type of group to talk over each other, so anybody's free to start. The adult in me wants to say Lady Lay go first, but anybody else is free to start if Lady Lay is not ready.
Yeah, I can speak on it. To me, mental health is a constant journey, especially since my own mental health is something I wasn't allowed to learn about until after high school, after I left my home. It's a constant journey with myself, with others, and it's also something that I've become very I believe I think very strongly about it synonymously with like my content that I create as well. I always want people to feel like it's an open space, and by doing that, I enjoy being open and honest about my own experiences. And I think it's important to always speak about it and for everyone to learn about it. So that's why I always try and hold a space that's open about it, whether that's like open about it and making jokes about it or being like quite serious. I think it's something that is a journey. Mental health to me is a journey.
To piggyback off what Lady said, for me as well, I wasn't allowed to really acknowledge any of my mental health as a teenager. I was too sensitive. I don't understand why you got upset at the drop of a hat. I learned later in life that's a trigger. I just emotional dysphoria, all of that stuff. Like it, I actually didn't get diagnosed with depression until like 3 years ago. And the doctor, like I filled out the little questionnaire at my physical, and the doctor goes, "Did you know you had moderate major depression?" And I just looked at him and I went, "I'm not surprised." And then I also recently got diagnosed with ADHD. So like it is a journey, and it's like I'm in my 30s and I'm just figuring things out now. I also try to be super open. I joke very casually about my mental illness.
Mhm.
That catches some people off guard, but I think it's important to be upfront about it because there is that stigma of talking about
Yeah.
it, and there shouldn't be. It's an illness like anything else. Sometimes you get ADHD, sometimes you get COVID, sometimes you have both.
Me.
Not that.
Me. I don't know. I love that, honestly. Sapphire, what about you? What does mental health mean to you?
Um, to be honest, I don't really know. Like, I don't have like a concise blurb about mental health, you know? It's always been, at least in my personal journey, it was like uh I was always consuming things about mental health. So like I grew up as like a theater kid, so there's like the D. Urban Hansen of it all, and like the other those other media projects that were always about the like trauma through mental health. And it wasn't until a big event in my life that actually ended me in the hospital for like 2 weeks, um that I actually had to like actually think about like, okay, this is important, like the actually thinking about and learning about your mental health and taking care of yourself. um that's because otherwise you're not gonna be around, you know, like take care of you. I don't know. That's that was a thought.
I mean, any thought is a good thought. I think again we're here to open up and just express how we're feeling and how we're feeling in the terms of mental health. And again, like the reason that I personally asked you all to be here is because I know that you are all some activists and people who are opening willing to normalize the stigma to destigmatize the like how we talk about it. So I don't think any thought is a wrong thought in with any of these questions that we'll be talking about today. So thank you. I appreciate it. And Aphasia, do you have any thoughts on the question that was given.
Yeah. So for like me personally, my mental health journey, I guess, really started. I guess I'm like so over the summer, I don't have a job, I don't work. I have government insurance, air quotes, fucking insurance. And so I was like, it was like, oh, you can take this whatever, and I see like, oh, maybe I can, you know, get some kind of like help somewhere. Because I was like, oh, mental health help, whatever, right? So I took this like survey online. Then I got had a consultation with the doctor, and this doctor was like, so it looks like based on your answers, and I've talked to them obviously as well, like based on your answers and talking to you, it looks like I'm diagnosing you with severe depression and ADHD. And I was like, okay, slay, kind of knew that, like, what now? And they're like, well, unfortunately with your insurance, we really can't do anything, so to pay for all your things out of pocket. And I'm just like, oh, so you're telling me I got to pay like $500 per session with you out of pocket, any kind of medication I need out of pocket because it's not covered. Only thing that's covered is a consultation, and I still got to pay like $50 for that with you. Okay, work, slay. So that put me into like a spiral for a hot second. It was like the beginning of summer, so I was like, okay, work, whatever, slay. But like really like thinking about it, my mental health journey really started in high school. Middle school, I was, always I did a lot of performing arts, band, choir, things like that. Go figure, I'm homosexual here.
Gay.
And yeah, right. Get me?
Hi,
Never.
gay.
And I was always the only like Black kid in my group of friends. And I live in Las Vegas, grew up around a whole lot of Mormon kids, and they don't know anything, and they're just saying things that are like really damaging mentally to a young, closeted, queer Black person, So that messed me up a lot. And then being a Black person, we don't, in our community, like talking about mental health is not a thing. It's like you just don't talk about it. It's just like I always say, I bring it back to, back in the day, only like 300-400 years ago, when we were sold as property, that men are this way, women are this way. You have to be the man. You can't, talk about your feelings, things like that, and just shut off to the whole world. And it's still like that today. Like we're like moving towards a better area of talking about mental health, feelings, like the world in general. But for me as a young Black kid, it was like it never happened. So like until I got into like college, after college, meeting friends and like really being on here is where like, oh damn, the big sad, as I like to call it, isn't just my thing. It's like other people are going through it as well. So let's be big sad together and keep each other accountable, basically. So
Yeah.
that's mental health to me. That's my personal journey. So
Yeah, 100%. I think growing up, I was in a lot of foster homes before I was adopted. But like also I was told growing up that I had ADHD, and I was put in like different classes and stuff like that. So that was already a toll on my mental health on top of me being diagnosed at a young age with ADHD. Which was pretty damaging, not to mention being POC and not to mention being closeted. And like, for example, like in high school, I was a cheerleader, a male cheerleader, and people were like, oh, he's gay. And I'm like, okay, well, we don't have to talk about it like that. You know what I mean? Like, let me just do this extracurricular activity that I think is fun for me, like scalped all the time. So I don't think that being queer and like having, like being depressed is like being queer does not, it's fun to be here, but it's also really damaging in ways when we have people on the outside trying to come into our communities and just like just rip us to shreds. So
Mhm.
that, in terms of that, I wanted to talk about like what are boundaries and how do you set those boundaries when your mental health is not at its best. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. One person that I really look up to about boundaries is you, Lady Lay, because there are times when we get in voice calls, I'm like, hey, come play Dead by Daylight, or let's do this. And you're like, hey, no, I'm sorry, I'm just not like feeling up to it today. And that's a boundary where you're like, instead of someone forcing you to play a video game because, you know, maybe some sort of FOMO, you're just like, no. And like, we've never questioned a sense. So, Lady, like, what are boundaries for you? And like, how do you tell someone that you're kind of in a funk, or how does everybody here, if you don't mind me asking, like, how do you set boundaries when your mental health is not at its greatest?
Mhm.
Um,
I think that I've learned, I would have used to have been like terrible with it. Like I always, with my disorder, there's a lot of like fear of others' intentions and a lot of fear of abandonment. And so it's been difficult to put up boundaries before. Um, you talk about gaming, it was originally, it was very difficult for me to like step away from a lot of like binge drinking culture and like partying and stuff
mhm,
like that. And that got me into so much trouble. And I think that I I time helped me learn that like time and therapy helped me learn like ways to give like other suggestions, I guess, like,
mhm,
oh, that person reached out to me, I should reach out to them again if I can't do this. And also learning that like I'm allowed to say no to things. It was very hard, but it's also I'm lucky to have had friends who have been like, well, no, you're allowed to though. And if people then don't want to speak to you because you said no one time or whatever, like that's on them,
mhm.
sort of thing. It's very difficult, but
If you don't mind me asking, and feel free to never answer this question, is like, is it like for me, when I say no to somebody, I'm definitely afraid of the lashback that I will receive right then and there, or the uninclusion, like the uninclusion that you'll get from then on out for
yeah.
just saying simply no. Is that kind of also a thing that maybe happens or you feel when you say no, or like why it took you so long to say no?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely felt that for like definitely with like the fear of like abandonment, the fear of losing people, like all of that kind of stuff. Like it is tough. I think that I learned to train myself that it's to look after myself in a way. Um and it is hard, but it's important. I think that yeah, I wouldn't have been able to put up boundaries the same way I do now, like even a year ago, let alone 5 years ago when I wouldn't have put up a boundary at all. Um, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm answering the question
No, you definitely
correctly.
did. You definitely did, and then I re-asked the question, but you had already had answered the question in a way, so I apologize
Okay.
a little bit. But
I know,
is it,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Okay, it's like I totally agree with Lady. Like last year, like this time, Stream Queens Con, you know, the first year of Stream Queens Con, well, last year Stream Queens Con, I was like really into it. I was doing a lot of things. I was all over everywhere I could possibly be last year because I was like, you know, I was like in a better place. But then this particular year, it was just like really hard on me. You know, if everyone knows, like I do live with my parents currently, and they are planning to move to the other side of the country, which I'm like, I'm not about to go. So I'm like desperately trying to find a job and things like that. So like my streaming and things I've been like trying to participate in have been like really like downsized a lot because I'm trying to like figure out my life, and going along with that is taking care of my mental health. And every time someone's like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" Like the Leo in me, who's the very like social side, says, fuck yeah, let's do it. But then the Virgo in me is like, girl, we can't do that. Okay, you need to stick to the schedule. And then it's like, you gotta say no. And then the Cancer side of me is like, well, if they say no, then I'm not inviting to anything ever again.
Yeah.
And it's just like what is going on like in my brain at any given second. And this is just like, you know, I have to take time for me to like get my things together, get my shit together. And like it's hard when you have to say no to an opportunity when you're like, you know, like it's just hard. So like I get that 100%. And like I'm at the point in my life, if anyone knows me, if you have some shit to say about me about not doing something or saying something, I'm like, okay, so what we're not going to do is sit here and put this on me because you feel some kind of way because I said no. You need to understand that I said no probably for a reason at this point. Because before I always say yes to everything. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I'll make it work. I'll schedule it out, this, that, and the other. But now it's like, you need to realize that not everything revolves around you. I'm so sorry that I can't do this, but I got to take some time for myself. And those people who don't understand that need to just like get over themselves, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. Like I said no to a couple things this month I'm going to do because I need to like have time for myself. So anyway.
Sapphire, Hebe?
I kind of want to my experience with setting boundaries, the biggest thing that comes to the front of my brain is like I had to learn. I'm a Virgo.
I like
Yeah.
how you laugh.
Hi.
Please.
I had to learn how to set boundaries with myself.
Mhm.
Because I used to be very, very hard on myself on like I would let myself do things without, you know, any thought, like yes, because I want to get out there and do things and be visible and do all this stuff. And I was especially in my theater career, which has stopped essentially. I'm doing nothing since telling myself to stop. Not stop doing theater, but like stop being so hard on myself. Because like I put so much pressure on myself that at one point, and this may be triggering for some people, but I guess I'll talk about it. And I know there's like some sort of like privilege around this, and like, but this just genuinely how I felt at the time was I kept not getting parts. I kept not being seen, and like the there was this audition where I was like, if I don't book this show, like this, it's over. It's over. Um, because I was being so hard on myself, um, and that's among other things. That's kind of what led me to the hospital for about 2 weeks, and there I had to learn healthy coping mechanisms of like um how to, because coping mechanisms are not things that, or at least healthy ones, are not taught to you in school. They're not they're not these things that you just automatically know. And like setting boundaries with yourself and learning how to say no to yourself. Like, I know this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So no, don't do that.
I definitely want to say thank you for being here. You're a joy to have. So thank you for opening up. But know that you are loved and we're happy to have you. Just know that as well.
So for me, shut up, Sapphire. No, no. I love you, Sapphire. For me, it's like Lady and Sapphire have already touched on, it's a lot of setting boundaries for yourself. I was also setting too many boundaries for other people in
Uh-huh.
terms of I didn't realize that over the past maybe like 8 or so years, I definitely kind of put up a wall with people in person just because of how much I'd been through and like all that stuff. And I'm pretty fun, zany, wacky, woo, but the most depressed people are. And
Mhm.
it's like, it wasn't until this past year or this past summer specifically that like I kind of sat and internalized it and realized that even though I'm still out social, have good relationships with people, that I wasn't really letting people in, even though I am so open about stuff. It's like I'm verbally open, but that's me releasing information that I am choosing to you.
Mhm.
I wasn't really like, yes, I'm talking to you, but I'm not letting you in. It's I'm putting stuff out and then closing the door, and then people are reacting based on that. And then on top of that, I like everybody else here. I'm assuming I am also extremely hard on myself, trying to do too much at all time. I stream. I have a day job I work almost 40 hours at. I was just in the performing live panel. Like I used to have a monthly gig at a local bar that closed down because of COVID. And that like Sapphire was saying, with not getting the parts, I was on the up and up here in the city, like right before the pandemic hit. And it was like it was like a bomb hit. And everybody I was just reset. Like the power dynamic shifted between those who stopped performing and those who kept performing. And it's been very hard on me. Like I'm looking at other people who are being successful, and lately it hasn't been as bad. But like I'm was looking at them and I'm like, why am I not getting these opportunities? I've already made a reputation for myself. I don't understand. People know I'm talented. I'm stepping it up. I'm putting in all this effort. And it felt like it wasn't being seen, which was another reason why I was kind of building that wall recently through finding the stream queens and getting diagnosed with my mental health issues that I kind of already knew about and getting medication and all that. I've been able to open myself up more and be an advocate for being upfront about what mental illnesses you have, because I feel like a lot of people also don't realize if you have a mental illness, yes, it's good for people to understand it, but the mental illness is your problem, not
Mhm.
anybody else's. It's great if you have a support system, and I think everybody should have a support system, but you need to be able to work through those issues specifically because they are yours, because you will not thrive until you get on top of that.
Yeah. I think that I definitely feel you on that. And I know that maybe some of you do know, some of you don't. Probably, like my sister Aphasia knows the most. That's something like I really struggle with, like saying no. I have me running this panel wild because I have no boundaries. And by that, I mean I don't say no because there are things in my life that are happening where I don't get the time to cope and have my own coping mechanisms to get through my own personal mental health because it's just go, go, go. Like being an empress, I don't know if a lot of you know what that means. This just means a lot of money raising for charity in drag, on top of being like a full-time performer, on top of being a Twitch streamer. So it's just like constantly um going and not being able to stop. I just got a cast spot at a show that I've been trying to be in a cast spot for years. And if I even remotely say no to one of the gigs to take a day off, they're going to be like, well, she wasn't up to the job. I guess we're going to recast now. So it's like, well, I can't say no. So I have to do these things. You know what I mean? Or when I have meetings for stuff, I can't stream. And it's just like, okay, I guess I'll be there. Or I'll just push myself really hard. Um, but I want to know going forward from where we at with our boundaries and saying no, how does your mental health affect your streaming and your drag artistry? It could be good, it could be bad. Um, I just am curious. It's also like the question after is if you're in a funk, what are steps you take to get out to get into drag and to stream, because when you're in a funk, I'm gonna call it a funk just because I don't want to use any other term right now. Uh, when you're feeling down or you're in a funk, how do you manage to get into drag? How do you stream, or do you even do those things if you're feeling down? Do you do it because you feel like you have to? Do you do it because, hey, I had such a collab that I had to do? I'm doing it because it gets me out of a funk. Like, what are some things that we do? What are some steps that we take?
I feel like he's
Anybody?
called me out on literally those last 2 statements. I'm like, God damn, leave me alone.
Your eye.
I was like, well, no, yes, okay. So like,
it was a lot of question, so
it
take
was a lot of questions.
take it how you will.
but,
So.
I mean, how do I get myself out of the funk, out of the big sad, out of the espresso depresso? If when I need to do things, I don't know. I kind of just like I sit there and look at myself. I'm just like, okay, bitch, you are. I don't want to say like lie to myself, but I kind of hype myself up. Like I'll like sit there and like, okay, bitch, you are the shit.
No,
You
affirmations are
are-
good.
You are everything. You are
Affirmation.
stunning. Stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Like, because like I started my drag journey at the beginning, right before COVID, like literally right before COVID. Like my first mountain drag was for a Christmas party for work, and then I did a like first time like newcomer drag competition, and then I won, and it was like people were like, "Oh, we're gonna see you out of here." That was February of 2020, and the next month COVID hit, and everything just stopped.
Ugh.
And I was like, I was so prepared. I was meeting all these people at the bars. I was like, getting contacts. People were like, oh, we loved your energy that day, this, that, and the other. I'm like, finally, my drag career is actually gonna start happening. And then, Covina happened. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'm not ready. And then I discovered streaming through my best friends, Kiyoshi Yorha. Kiyoshi always
Yes.
fucking weekend. I love Kyo. I've known Kyo for fucking years.
Never met them before.
They're
Here's my
okay.
stream queen's twin.
They're all right.
I think they're the one who threw the flags at TwitchCon, right?
Yeah.
What?
The
Yeah.
one where you can't say the H word during the
Yeah.
song.
The bridesmaid is shh.
Yeah,
Anyways,
exactly.
keep going.
So like after doing all that, discovering streaming, and I was like, after I started streaming, I was like, every day drag, another club, bus, another. I was doing drag every single stream. And then recently, it's just like it's been hard for me to even like get into the feeling of wanting to get into drag, or like even wanting to stream, because I think I've become like complacent in sitting in a Discord and just hanging out and doing absolutely nothing all day. And it's like I need to stream to like give me some kind of like serotonin, because whenever I do stream and I'm hanging out with friends and like we're playing games or whatever, it's a great time. Like if you haven't played DVD with me, ask London. I'm a fantastic time.
So when are we?
You let me know.
Wow.
I look, if I'm sitting
Wow.
here and I'm saying, "Oh my god, she's terrible at the game. Oh, she's so bad. She's terrible." Just like, "Oh my god, with Fiona," like I like to play DVD now at this point because like it's silly, and I like to call killer shit all the time. But like whatever. If you're a killer mate, I don't care.
Don't
don't
talk
care.
about Lady Lay like that.
I know.
I've seen Lady play, and Lady's only salty when the survivors are bitches. So like,
Yeah, my
wait,
survivors
am
are
I the
nasty. They're
problem?
down under.
Yeah, you gotta kick Vic.
And we hate Australians.
wait, am I the problem? Am I the reason
In
why
both
killers
ways.
are mean?
Yes, you are.
Mhm.
Oh wow. Anyway, so
look.
like whatever, to help me get into that, I'm like, okay, like collab streams, or I was like, okay, I'm having a stream with somebody, let's get into the gig, let's get into the geese, let's have it together, or recently it's like, I don't feel like being on camera, but I still want to stream, so I have like a no cam stream, or maybe like a cute little PNG tuber of me and myself, whatever. And it's like, as long as I'm streaming at some point at least 2 times a week, I'm happy. You know,
Mhm.
before it was like 4 or 5 days a week, and it was a lot. It was so much, and just like pushing myself to do that and to like not only just like play games I think people will come to watch, like play stuff that I like is a huge thing for me. Because like as much as I love multiplayer games, I love me a good story-based game. I
Yeah.
love me to sit down. I love a game with so many side quests that I never touch the main story. Then when I go back to the main story, I am so overpowered. It's like, well, what am I here for now? I love stuff like that, but like that's not always what's popular on Twitch, unless like you're known for that, people don't come for that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I play these kinds of games or do these kinds of things, it's like no one's there. I'm like, well, this fucking sucks, like no one's here to watch me. But like then I'm like, okay, numbers are low everywhere because the world's opening back up because COVID's not a thing anymore. But whatever. So that's how I deal with it. That's what I do.
Oh, there she goes.
Uh-oh. Please.
So basically, sometimes what you're saying is streaming either gets you out of it or puts you back into it. Does
Yeah.
anybody else feel like this in that sort of way? Sapphire,
It's-
you shaking your head?
It's a weird. It's almost like a snake eating its own tail.
It's wild.
Wanting to be someone who is visible and entertaining other people. Because I know that as someone who does theater, I do drag and I game online. That's kind of my thing. But it's like in front of people. So for theater, I get paid. I get paid to do that. Like people pay me to do that. I'm on a weekly paycheck. So for drag, it's tips only. So it's like I'm putting in this effort to be in drag. I'm putting in this effort to like perform for you, and I don't, at least in my experience as someone who's plus sized and who looks more feminine in the drag space, like naturally, I don't get tipped as much. So I can't put that tip back into uh giving you a more polished drag look. So I'm stuck there just being um the one who no one claps for.
Oh my goodness.
So do you do drag for tips? Because in my city, we have annihilated tip spots. Tip spots are not a thing and they're not allowed. Either you pay the drag artists or you don't pay the drag artists by not having them. And if they are in your show, they need to be paid. So
I only do tip spots. I don't get cast in shows unless, well, I've the thing is, you can also be your worst enemy when it comes to entertaining because I do get cast in things. But it's also like I don't know. It's difficult because it's like getting tipped $15 per spot at most. At most. Or it's like getting paid $20 to $30 for a spot in a show for me, at least personally. Um in the Twin Cities, not to call out an entire not to call out an entire place. At least that's my personal experience. And I don't yeah, I haven't worked everywhere in the Twin Cities, so I don't know if that's true for everything.
so basically that also just like Lady, I see you as well shaking your head in agreement with Sapphire of like the way that mental health directs your drag and what you're wanting to do on the internet and or in person because you also perform live too.
I do, yeah. I was nodding my head in agreement with Sapphire about the drag supporters hating fat people. Is what I was nodding with. But that's a whole different panel.
Whole different thing. It's a whole different
Dream Queens
issue.
Con 4.
But if but yeah, I do have some answers to the question.
Yeah, feel free to. Feel free to if you're willing to.
I think that my mental health affects my streaming and drag artistry. I like to be very open, like I said, about my mental health to my audience. If I'm hosting like a live gig, that's more of like a happy time. You want people to be cheering and stuff. So I'll usually put it into like some jokes, you know, and that way it like normalizes conversation about it, while still like keeping it the correct vibe for the event. Um, if it's more of like a theater drag moment, I could get or like a time where I'm allowed to do like a ballad, a slower performance. I can get a lot more emotional with it, a lot more open about that. And then on streaming, I'm just pretty open in general to how I feel that day. I let people know how I feel. I let people say how they feel as well. I think that's important, and I like people feeling like they are welcome to say how they feel and are valid. And I think that I do that because I know that there's so many spaces that I've been, years and years I lived without feeling like I was allowed to feel how I felt. And I think that when I'm in a funk and like the steps I take, I did a lot of DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy. It's common for people with the disorder that I have, which is borderline personality disorder. And there's lots of different skills and techniques that they teach you to like cope with emotional management, interpersonal relationships. There's so much great stuff, but it's also important to like find out what works for you. And I think it's important to dive into things even if you're questioning them. I know that mindfulness was something that I always thought of as like a wanky bullshit like thing. And then now I realize like how important it is to me to like if I'm getting like emotion, like very high emotions, like I feel where I am, like acknowledge like what my feet are touching, what my hands are touching, all my senses, like I settle myself and I ground myself where I am. I also find check the facts is a fun one for me, like when I'm over catastrophizing situations, to check the facts of the situation. Like if I'm like, oh, they hate me, this, and this, and I'm like, they have said this, and like that is the fact, not what I'm thinking, what I'm making up in my head, kind of thing. And like checking the facts, I also use to like acknowledge my surroundings and like where I am, and to ground myself.
That's really amazing, and I appreciate you explaining what DBT is. I was very excited that you did that because not a lot of people know about it. So thank you for educating and being open in education. We have about 15 minutes. Just want to give everybody a heads up. So we have time for a couple audience questions, and we have one more question that we as a group wanted to talk about. It came from Lady Lay, but we as a group all agreed that it'd be really important to talk about. But before I get to that question, Hebe, is there anything you wanted to touch on? How you get out of a funk? Does streaming make it better, worse? What are some steps to take? And if anybody has any questions in the audience, feel free to drop it in there. Sorry about that.
So, like Lady Lay, I have I don't know if DBT and CBT are the same thing, but I have been through CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, which also teaches you a lot of skills. Like if I wake up and I'm in a mood and I'm in a funk, I stop and you have to have like this moment of self-awareness where you sit and you're like, okay, nothing's even happened yet. Why do I feel this way? Is this valid? Like you have to kind of backtrack in your head and you're like, what is causing this other than the chemical instability? Like, and it's just like, are you going to let that carry through your day? Or are you going to look in the mirror and be like, no, you're fucking awesome, and try to seize the day the best you can after you take your meds? Like, and then in terms of like how my mental health affects my streaming. It's like there are times where I come home from work and I don't want to stream because I don't have the spoons.
Mhm.
I will say I've noticed the trend tends to be like if I tweet I'm gonna stream, odds are I'm not going to stream. But if I don't tweet that I'm gonna stream, I'll be live. So I've stopped doing that entirely.
No
But like if I'm in a funk, what steps I take to get into drag are basically, is this a paid gig? Is this just an open stage or something? Like, if it's an obligation where I have to do it, is it sponsored? Am I going out to go do 2 gigs to perform? Do I have the numbers already ready? Yes, I'm going to do it because you can't let the shit stop you from being the best you can be. It's hard, but at the end of it all, you'll be proud of yourself and you'll be even stronger. In terms of streaming, that's hit or miss. I am very open to the fact that I don't stream in drag every time. There's Hebe and then there's Hebe out of drag, and it's just both of those are parts of me. If Hebe out of drag isn't having a good time, Hebe in drag is going to have an even worse time because I'm uncomfortable. I've got 5 pounds of concrete on my face and sunglasses I can't see through. Like, so you need to make sure the you that you present out of drag is healthy, so the you that you present in drag is the best you can be.
And I think it's important that I just want to say right here, right now, it is okay. People may say otherwise. It is okay to not stream and drag all the time because
Mhm.
it takes a lot
It's
of
too much
mental.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's
I
really
have
too
so much
much.
respect for people who do it every day.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like literally, dear, every day, and I'm like,
I've also noticed if I am getting into drag and I know I'm not feeling it, my face is not at all where I want it to be. I'm like, what were we doing to like? It's just like a mess, and I'm just like, we should have done this. Why do we do this? And I spent 2 hours getting to this face. I'm just like, it's not right, Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel and look like me. So like,
It's not right, but it's okay.
it's well, sure. You know what? You're right. You're right.
I agree with everybody in the subject of like, what do I like the steps you take? I don't even know what steps I take. I think my friends are the most important people that help me get into drag and want to do stream stuff. I have really, really close friends. Obviously Aphasia, someone I play with, our friend Garrett, someone I play with, Amp, if y'all know what's the safe word, someone that really
Yes.
gets us out of like my shell and my funk of like, I think
That
one
man is
thing
wild.
a wild and human, loves eggnog.
Oh my god, I love eggnog.
Well, that's a whole different subject. That's a whole different panel.
Ooh.
Eggnog panel.
Eggnog and how you can drink it with London Bradshaw.
Oh.
But I think that like
Hope through your
people-
mouth. It's there.
Oh my god, stop. I think one thing that's important to me is like I think people need to understand like taking breaks is okay for yourself. People say that I leave them on red all the time, but sometimes the amount of text messages that I get during the day, I just don't want to pick up my phone because I just want to take like a second for me and get back to where I am. There was a point to this subject, but I forgot where I was going with it.
And that's on what? Mental health.
Yeah, I was like, that's on what? Depression. I mean, I've been sad
It's the
all week.
aphasia.
Yeah. Espresso depresso. There was something I was gonna say,
It's
but
delicious.
I don't remember what it was. But we're gonna move on to our last question, which is important, and I want to make sure everybody please has time to answer it. We have about 10 minutes left. What does mental health mean when it comes to relationships? I think I saw Sapphire immediately roll her eyes, or either you're thinking or you rolled your eyes. I can't tell. I'm not going to call you too much out on that.
Moopsies.
But mental health to me in relationships is a lot of communication. Going into it with communication, knowing that what's working and what's not working to continue relationships, whether they're friendships, sexual, dating, whatever they are. So how does that come into relationships with people. And again, sensitive subject, they can be any of those that I just listed. So if any of those are examples, feel free to use those.
I mean, go ahead,
Oh.
please.
I tend to, like I said, I used to be a very closed off individual. And when I started coming into my own in terms of realizing I had to push forward and figure out my mental health and all that in order to be a better Hebe, be more successful, that's when I realized is that I need to not only be more honest with myself, but I also need to be more honest with the people around me. And that is why I'm so upfront about any mental illness I have, what I'm feeling. I've always been one to wear my emotions on my face. Thank God for COVID. Don't clip that out of context. But it's just like it's everybody has relationships. That's just part of life. Whether it's somebody you don't interact with, that's still technically a relationship. If it's somebody you do interact with every day, if it's somebody you're in a physical relationship with, I tend to flirt with pretty much everybody I'm friendly with in person. But I'm always upfront about the fact that that is just me. Like, I put my foot forward. I am honest about my feelings in the moment with everybody around me, because if you do that, people know exactly where they stand with you.
Mhm.
And there's no confusion. It's no. If somebody tries to be shady, it's either, oh, I can read right back, or it's, girl, we're not doing this right now. Let's be professional.
Yeah, there's
And
definitely a lot of. Go ahead,
yeah.
sorry. No, go
And
ahead.
it's stuff like that. Like, it's just, yeah, we can haha hoo hoo kiki haha. If I don't have that type of relationship with you and I haven't let you in like that, we're not doing it.
I think that's such an enlightening thing to hear, because I think that people think that, for me personally, it's mental health. It's not because I'm
Yeah.
a bitch. I am a little bit of a bitch, but it's more so I'm closed off because I don't know how my relationships with people are on the internet. And coming to Twitch, you learn a lot about how people act or are acting,
Parasocial relationships.
And so it's just wild to me when someone treats you some type of way, which then in reality it's just you being closed off because you have been mistrusted or distrusted with other relationships on the internet or things like that. So I think that before people continue to come at people with any form of way, they just also need to take a second to understand other people. So like having
Mhm.
communication is important. But we can, before I get on this tangent, I'm gonna let everybody else finish. Lady, this was your question that you wanted to bring to the panel. I'm gonna let you answer, and then I'm gonna get to Sapphire and Aphasia, and then we will possibly end after that.
I just wanted to, I think that the relationship I'd like to speak about the most with this question and how mental health has affected that relationship is with my parents. Growing up, they didn't let me learn about mental health or why I was feeling any type of way. And once I left my home, and I was able to learn about my mental health, was actually when I was able to realize how toxic the relationships was. And not only my mental health was affecting it, but my mother's mental health was affecting that relationship too. And I think that when it comes to relationships, especially relationships that you want to keep, it's like I just think it's important to push through and continue trying, even if even if you have noticed mental health had such like a created such chaos in that relationship. If the relationship is important for you, there are like skills that you can learn to have like safe conversations with those people. And I'm glad that mental health and finding out about my mental health and going to doctors and seeking therapy, I was able to then help my mother with a wee bit of a shove, but I was able to help my mother, and me and my parents have never been closer. And my dad, who is someone who has always been closed off, especially locally, Aotearoa is very big on men not having feelings. We do have one of the highest teen male suicide rates in the world. and he's always been shut off, and he talks to me about how he's happy that we get to be open, and that he enjoys being able to tell me how he feels, because I think that he's not known how to do that for a long time. And so I think that, like, with relationships, it's just important to keep pushing even if they feel hard. But I don't know if I articulated that correctly, but like with important relationships where you know that you both love each other and you're sure of that, it's important to keep trying.
Yeah. I think reaching out to parents has also made me personally set boundaries and know, because if you can have
Yeah.
that openness with your parents, the people that I'm probably scared of the most, then I can be able to talk to anybody if I'm able to reach out to my parents. I really appreciate that, and thank you for bringing this question to light. We do have about 5 more minutes, so Aphasia and Sapphire, I would like you to answer the question, if you're willing to, and then we're going to do a closing statement, and then we are going to sign off.
Yeah, I guess I can go make it quick. I'm not gonna touch parents. It's a whole different issue with me, so I'm not gonna talk about that right now. But like with like friendships, I know for me personally, like if I haven't talked to someone in a while, I will be like, "Hey, what's going on? How are you?" Trying to like put that feeler out there. So I'm like, I want to know how they're doing. But when people message me, it's like, "Hey, how are you doing? What's going on?" I just like shut off. Like, oh, like if I'm ever in a call, you're like, "How are you doing?" Like, "Oh, I'm fine." You automatically know that that's a damn ass lie. Okay. Or if I go, "Oh," you're like, oh, okay, so she's here. She's here mentally, possibly physically as well. Who knows? Whatever. Um, so like even like I was talking to Kiyoshi the other day. We were messaging the other day, and they were like, "Oh, how's like? By the way, how are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm fine. And then I'll give like little snippets of like this is happening, that's happening, but I'm trying to keep it together. That's like I'm not trying to shut myself off completely all the time, but I'm in the vein of thinking is like I don't want to like trauma dump. I don't want to put my mental strain, my whatever going on in my life on somebody else because I feel bad.
Yeah.
And then what happens is I just like internalize it, and then next thing I know, I'm in bed for a full 2 days.
Yeah.
So it's like I need to learn how to open up more. It's gonna shoot me in the foot. I already know it. It's gonna be so hard for me to do to actually talk about what's going on in my life and like this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
What I used to do to cope is just smoke a shit ton and just forget about everything. But now that I'm like super strapped for cash, I can't. So it's like, okay, I'm sitting here sober with my own thoughts. So like this is actually terrible. But I guess those are my like friendships that I've had that like I'm the kind of person like one of my love languages is spending time with people. I
Yeah.
love seeing a Discord call. It can be silent for hours. And as long as I'm like, hey, like I hear you breathe, I'm like, okay, cool. Whatever. But I say hear you breathe, London falling asleep half the time.
I need you to. We're done. We're done.
Sorry, I never said that. I never said that. Okay, anyways.
Nothing.
Sorry.
Sapphire, we have time for your answer, and then we're gonna sign off for the night.
I don't have an answer. Bye.
Oh my gosh, not this. I think that is all the time we have. One thing for me is that I think relationships are important. I think everybody needs to understand each other before they decide to pop off, should you
Yeah.
say. I did a whole entire number regarding mental health that took a lot out of me to create for TwitchCon, and then got immediately shit on not even 3 days after I got home, which was like the most depression I've ever witnessed in my life. This is like, why do I open up and put my friends on out there to explain that friendships are close to me? But again, just saying, get to know people, understand them before you decide to shit on someone's mental health, because you actually don't know what they're going through. Which is why I wanted this panel to be a thing today. So again, thank you all for being here and speaking on mental health. It will continue to always be something that is important to me. It may not look like it when my lash is like facing this way, but I promise you that it is important, and I appreciate every single one of you. We have time just for a quick, where can we find you next? What we're doing on Twitch, whether it's in person, whether it's not. Where can we find you, Lady Lay?
I'm on all socials on It's Lady Lay. Lady is spelled Leidy, and Lay is spelled Lei.
We can find you in New Zealand and not Australia. Don't ever say lady is from Australia. You will be banned.
That's correct.
Sapphire E Glamour.
You can find me at tonight's drag show tonight. Closing out the night before that DJ set with Arseniki. But yeah, you can just find me on social media all at Sapphire E Glamour. That's SAFIREGLAMOUR. Send me some money for some pad thai, please. That would make me feel mentally
pad thai.
better. Yeah, good pad thai.
Drop
Anyway.
your Venmos in the chat, everybody in this panel. Drop them in the
My
chat right
PayPal's also It's Lady Lay.
now. Hebe Buffet.
Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm Hebe Buffet. I'm a variety streamer that specializes in horror games and JRPGs. I am Pittsburgh's Queen of the Nerds. You can find me all over the internet at my normal Hebe Buffet name, twitch.tv Hebe Buffet. You can catch me in the drag show tonight, being an absolute gremlin, just like I am on Twitter. And follow the link and follow all my socials.
Now you're being ready. Let's go. Hi, once again, my name is Phaedra Speaks. I'm on the Speakeasy here on twitch.tv. Black gender queer drag artist. I play a lot of variety games, DVD, Valorant. I've started God of War. I want to play some Marvel Midnight Suns. I'm a giant nerd and like strategy games as well. You can find me everywhere except for Instagram at It's Aphasia Speaks. Not It's Aphasia, at Aphasia Speaks, and on Instagram it's Queen_Aphasia because Aphasia just taken. Hateful. And you can also Venmo, Cash App, all that stuff at Aphasia Speaks as well. And support a Black broke content creator because she needs some more makeup.
May I add one more last thing?
Quickly.
If anybody watching this needs somebody to talk to at any point, don't hesitate to message me. Like, I try to keep it real and lighthearted. It's one thing I think definitely needs to be acknowledged here, as all of us are public figures and streamers. DM people, keep it cute in the chat. Like, we're all trying to like keep everybody's moods up, but we do want to be here for all of you.
Yes. 100%.
agree.
And it's
Okay.
okay if we say no to
Yes.
being that person for you.
Yes.
True. Which has happened. You can find me. I'm Lennon Bradshaw. I'm the braided bitch on Twitch. Because I only wear braided wigs. You can find me on all my socials with Lennon Bradshaw. I think my Instagram says Lenny Bradshaw because they won't let me go back to Lennon Bradshaw. We'll not talk about that. I do love food, so if you want to Venmo me as well. And again, mental health is important, y'all. Please stay vital to yourself. And we'll see you all later. And remember, there is no lake in Ba Sing Se. Have a good night, y'all. We laugh in mental health. Ah, ha, ha, ha.